Hello. I'm here. Maisie, come here. Here's Maisie. Still got the collar of shame, as someone called it today. But she's doing okay. She's just drank a whole lot of water from the scrambled egg saucepan. Some of you might think that's seriously gross, but it gets her to drink, you know. Anyway, so I had the idea today that I was going to use watercolour. First time in a long time that I felt that. I thought, gosh, I've not used my watercolour paints for ages. And then I found some orange paper, like I was going to paint the lilies. And next thing I came across this orange paper here. And by the way, I've just had a really nice breakfast, scrambled egg and toast, and Barry's tea from Susan. Susan buys me Barry's tea. Thanks very much, Susan. There's my phone. I'm just going to see if it's urgent, and if not, oh, I'm going to leave it. I'm going to leave it. Shakers. I just put on Do Not Disturb. I should have done that first day. This is a bit of a disaster now again. I'm not even visible there. Sounds and vibration. Do not disturb. Okay. So in the end I decided that orange paper is too much of a gift, seeing as the colour of the those lilies were 85p. They were last week, and they were a great bargain. Anyway, so I thought the paper is too much of a gift not to use it, and so instead of using watercolour, which would be lost really on that orange paper, instead of using watercolour, I thought I would use a stick dipped into ink to draw the lilies. I've got this stack of books here. If I put the books underneath, I love that, you know, in the morning to kind of. I didn't start off great. Now this morning I was a bit like, just feeling a little bit shook, kind of like I didn't sleep very well. I don't know, I kept waking up, and then when I got out of bed I thought, look, I'll just do my things. So I started pottering around the house, and you know, it's really nice to actually just take time to clean things up and set things up nicely for myself. Here's my little, I brought in the lamp from the studio. Sorry. And there's roses there. Anyway, I got all very cheap flowers from the supermarket. So there's flowers all over the show. So I was just moving flowers from one place to another. And then I did some yoga, and I did a bit of meditation, had a walk with Maisie. And I feel like I'm back on an even keel again now. Sometimes when things aren't working out, it seems to me to be a good thing just to take the next step, and the next step, and the next step. Now, saying I've got a stick dipped in ink, I don't have a stick. I just actually had the idea that I might end up using the using the stick out of these little bottles. Gosh, it's treacherous. I don't know what it is where you are or where you're tuning in from, but here in Scotland the roads, pathways are so icy, like really treacherous. It feels like walking on an ice rink. Even worse actually, because you can't guarantee that it's going to be ice all the way, so you could stumble onto ground halfway through, sliding over. So, and you know, so pair that up with Maisie's collar and her wanting to, she's been on, you know, desperate, on the lead for a week, desperate to get off and have a bit of fun. So pair that up with my delicate rib situation. I bruised my ribs the other day hanging off a tree, and feeling fairly vulnerable now on the walking on the ice, you know. But anyway, we managed. We made it to the field, and she had a bit of a run. Whether it was a good idea or not, I took off her lead for just a wee while in the field, because there was actually no other dogs at the time, and there was no trees for her to bash into. So I'm hoping that was a good decision, and that she's okay. Next time we have her check up, that she's not done any more damage to her grazed knee. I mean, really, it's not a very bad graze, but it's a bit like my cold sore. It keeps opening up again. No, I've gone a bit doolally here with the, so this needs to be shorter, that petal there. Lilies are great because, again, a bit like the cyclamen, they have a very definite shape, and I don't know, there's something quite pleasing about describing their arcs, the flow of each flower, each flower petal. Yeah, again, bringing me back to sand dunes somehow. That, I suppose that's a kind of a natural. There's no corners in sand dunes, is there? So that's the thing that I'm reminded of when I'm drawing these. Can you see what I'm doing? I wonder if my head is in the way. My nose seems to be sticking out there. Anyway, hopefully you've seen that. Right, so what I'm doing now is trying to capture this petal. And the shapes between the petals are helpful in order to place them as well. And just things like drawing a straight line up from the edge of one and seeing if it would touch the edge of another. Like the edge of that one there looks to me to be coinciding with that edge there. More or less. Like, it's, to be honest, this needs to be moved over a little bit, so I'll move it across. I quite like, I've said before, quite like these finding lines that that show the evidence of the process of the drawing coming into being, like recognizing that, oh, there's more of a bend there actually, and then leaving the line underneath. I think it was in the book Ian Simpson's Drawing, Seeing and Observation that he spoke about lines that overshoot being part of the drawing too. An important part really of the drawing, the overshooting lines. He was speaking more about life drawing, and you know, when you're drawing a person's arm or something, you could extend the direction of the arm far past the boundary of the body, and that almost adds to the energy, the dynamic feel of the pose. But we're not talking about bodies here, we're talking about flowers, so slightly different. And what I'm finding is repeating here is not so much the direction of the thing being overshot, but it's more repeating the shape of the petal, and in that way adding emphasis to its beauty, I suppose. Or, you know, for me it's kind of finding the truth of what's there, like the actual the actual curve that's there, the actual trajectory, no matter what. And generally, in the pursuit of what's true, I think you generally come across beauty. It's kind of a beautiful byproduct. That's the washing machine. Sorry, it's all very noisy around here. I decided in my pottering about this morning, it extended out into the garden, and out in the garden were some cloths and things I'd used for cleaning Maisie that really needed to be washed. So there was a pile of them, and I wanted the garden to host a fire pit at some point in the next wee while. I want to get a fire pit because the one we've got has broken into pieces. It rusted away to nothing really, and so I want to get a fire pit and then wanted to make the garden look nice, you know. No, this petal's really long, longer than yeah, I wanted to clear up, so I'll finish that train of thought first. I wanted to clear up the garden a little bit, so it's lovely. It feels really good to have made an inroad into that by washing that pile of dirty towels. And this is actually the second load of dirty towels, imagine. So the garden, and the swinging seat doesn't have a cover on it, so it can't keep us dry. But on a dry, clear night, there's nothing nicer than actually being able to see the sky anyway. And I thought I could take cushions out and just put them back into the studio. So I find cushions that I could use for the outdoor seat and a fire pit. I'm feeling a little bit excited now now that I'm talking about it, because fire is wonderful, isn't it? The last time I lit a fire for myself, it was on the day of the solstice, and it was after a swim at the reservoir in Gladhouse, and I lit the fire. I went into the reservoir at 10 o'clock, and I think that 10 o'clock is when the planets were aligned, you know, Jupiter and Saturn or some sort of thing about that. I've got friends now who know an awful lot more about that whole thing, but I just thought, and they mentioned something happening at Uluru as well in Australia, and that was happening at 11:34 our time. And so what I did was I stoked up the fire and lay down, and I actually ended up falling asleep after my swim. And there was something ancient and beautiful about that experience for me. I had a blanket, like I was wrapped up, but the fire was good as well, like, and I was the only person there. I had my flask of tea too. So that was my solstice experience, and it kind of reminded me of how beautiful the flames of a fire can be, for just slowing down as well, actually. And that's one of the things that I'm keen to do at the moment, is to slow myself down a little bit. Sometimes I feel really fired up creatively, and just like an appetite for life, like wanting to eat loads and stay up half the night and draw, and so it's okay, you know, for a spate of that, but if it's my experience generally, it's just a bit much for my body, I reckon. This is my story at the moment anyway, we'll see. But you know, right or wrong, I think the fire could be a lovely addition to the whole slowing down thing. And just as is it Alistair Campbell, or somebody wrote a book called Soil and Soul. He spoke about to dig where you stand. There's something about digging, something about cultivating beauty in our very own homes, like just little passages of solace, I suppose. Opportunities for that. And you know, you provide me with that solace as well. Very much, really. You very much symbolise for me community and that kind of joyful connection that's possible when we're following our creative call, I suppose. And you encourage me to do this kind of thing by being there on the other side of it, whoever you are, whether you've ever spoken to me or not. Like, it's just appreciated your presence. Thanks. Right, so I was saying this was a bit long, and I was gonna use my cop outline. I'm not calling it a cop outline because it's not. I actually love this quote by Matisse, who said, "Exactitude is not truth." However, it's maybe elongated. I just pulled that blue down a bit further even than I want it to be. So I'm gonna bring it up a little bit. And the one that's behind it then will be in shadow, so I could use the blue again, I'd say, for that. Yeah, Matisse said exactitude is not truth. And I'm reminded a little bit too here of Midlothian, who did do beautiful, elegant, elongated shapes for the human figure. And El Greco, the Spaniard, was he? El Greco? No, the Greek. I don't know. Whoever. Anyway, El Greco did incredible. He did incredible, you know, elongated images of people. You know, he's got a crucifixion painting that's beautiful, and there's an image of Mary that I can think of. I think it's in that painting where she's got her eyes are looking upward, and there's so much grief and pathos and beauty. And I think if the bodies weren't so elongated and kind of stretching upwards, that there would be less of a feel of less of poignance and truth in that painting. So, I can even feel it now talking about it. There's such a, where, you know, we have a response. I think human beings, you know, we have a response to truth that's quite a clear thing, no matter what vessel it comes in. Truth and beauty. I feel like beauty, somebody said about beauty that it's our natural response to beauty is love. There's a kind of a stirring in the heart when something beautiful is fully seen. So, and it's all about the place, isn't it? I mean, somebody said to me recently, the sunsets and sunrises at the moment are amazing. And it caused me to, I was thinking, geez, I'm going to take a bit more notice. The light I've seen from the sun has been glorious. New Year's Day, I had a swim on the beach that time, and the light was iridescent. It was gorgeous, and it came from the moon and the sun. So the sun was rising. It was 9:30 in the morning, the 1st of January 2021, and the moon was still hanging quite bright, like pendulum in the sky, really bright, full. I would say it was full, but it was a couple of days after the full moon, but it looked full to me, and it looked silver white, and then the sun was almost this colour here. That was a glorious day. That was a glorious day. And my friend Nicola was swimming too, and she ended up doing a beautiful dance, like a sun dance. Sundance kid. And it was lovely to see that she was dancing on the sand, which, like, the tide was out, it was low tide, so it was as far out as it was going to go, but the sand was wet enough that it seemed as though the stage that she was dancing on was iridescent too, as well as the sky with the moon and with the sun. It was all brightness, and of course the sea reflecting the sky. That's one of the most beautiful lights I've ever seen. And then how it, like somebody called them the eyebrows of the moon, how the waves catch the sunlight sometimes, the white, as the white horses on the waves are starting to curl over. Sometimes they catch the light. And somewhere recently, I don't know who said it, but I can't remember his name. Anyway, it was a kind of a shaman style man on YouTube, very funny guy, and he said he called those foamy waves the eyebrows of the moon. Eyebrows of the moon. Isn't that so nice? Right, now Maisie's doing some sort of destructive thing next door. It might be my painting, so I'm just going to take a look and see. She might have pulled it off the easel. Give me 1 second. That's what she had. Look, the Crocs. I think soon she's going to have eaten. Sorry, you can't hear me maybe. She was eating my Crocs. So she's taken a few bites out of them previously, but they still survived. That's what happened today now. She's getting her own toy. Right, what was it going to do? I think what I could maybe do there now is to use some oil pastel to describe the background as it comes up to meet the orange in places. This is probably chalk actually. Whatever it is, it'll work anyway, I think, just to give a wee bit more contrast. And to enhance the beautiful shape of the lily flower a little bit more. So there's a little triangle, little window here, background coming through, and there's another one here, and down here, and then over here as well. And there's more space in there than painting and the background shapes, I recognise that I just hadn't drawn that petal in, I think, correctly over there, so I want to re-establish the edge of that. Yeah, I think I had drawn too far in there. And then this one will also extend out a little bit more. I want to use, actually use the orange acrylic ink. Some of the red now because the orange isn't spreading as well as I want it to. I'm not having started on this. I'm actually quite pleased with them. In there. I want to continue it. Just for the composition, I mean, it seems to me like a good thing to fill that space. To abate my mind, is that the word? At the moment it feels like there are things that I could see piling up to be done. I could go into that overwhelming feel. And I know that definitely is not a good place for me to be in because I can't do anything from that place. At least I can't do anything fruitful from that place. So, it's not a big deal, there are small things to do with them. Just recording sales and all that kind of stuff. Sending the information to Jim. And just doing newsletters and that to them. And so that's a pleasant thing to be doing. But at the same time, I don't want to just be writing any old dribble like, despite what you might think if you get the newsletter. But so it does feel like it's I want to work up to that a little bit as well. To discern a little bit what it is to include in that. So maybe that's going on in the background. Along with the washing machine and all the stuff that entails it's involved in running house up. Which I'm sure watching Midnight Walnuts. I've never seen Midnight Walnuts before. Midnight's good demure and kind of, she's got herself together kind of. She's the older of the two cats, and she's not really usually up for that. But my goodness, she was So, and then Margot was just stunned into silence. She sat under the Christmas tree watching Midnight. So those stem at the end are pretty bright orangey, well, they're sugar shapes, I should say. Bright stem colour. Really in there from the oil pastels. I think I tried to go for something a bit richer. Now and then I take a deep breath and I can feel my ribs starting to lay down a little better. I was very hard listening yesterday. But and they got pretty bad yesterday, but now they're getting better today. I was a bit worried because they seem to be getting worse. I thought, what have I done to myself? And this is sepia colour pink. I think I could re-establish the dark on the underside of those sepia colour. Just to bring back something a little bit more fine. And then polish it back to that. And then I've got it on my hand. I could use it for any more dark bits. Which is very dark. So, now the question is, will I put green on the leaves or not? So that would look like there's to put green there. That's okay, isn't it? I think it works alright. And the green up to there. And the stem. What I'm putting in is the dark, the shadows, the green darks, darks of green. Leaves are there. I wonder, can you hear me? Can you hear me right? Because somebody mentioned that I can seem to mumble, and of course I've got my hair, oh for goodness sake. The microphone down on the ground the whole time, so all my incredible conversation lost. Yes, I'm being sarcastic, but there was some things that were quite interesting that I said there. Anyway, sorry about that. I was just saying I sometimes mumble, I think, and I was wondering whether you'd be able to hear anything. Even at that point I thought the microphone was on my lapel. So anyway, I was also talking fairly quietly. Okay, so the carry on really, I was just kind of talking about putting the darks in places and then whether or not to put green in. And what I've done is just use the oil pastel for the dark areas of green. I think this is quite a dark leaf here too. And now I want to emphasize the light. I think I will use something to describe the light on the leaves as well. I want it to, it needs to really stand out. So maybe something as bright as this. But it might not have an effect over the orange. It's quite bright. Let's see. I mean, it's not light, but it's bright. Yeah, I'm kind of liking that actually. These are for the stem here. And there's always the possibility of using some yellow or white to make it lighter in tone, which I might do. Because the other one, this is the dark of the stem. There we are. Okay, yeah, I think I will use, let's see what yellow would look like with that. Quite nice. I want to brighten it up a bit, you see. Yellow on its own looks a bit garish though, garish. And I think the green there is too much, so I'm going to use white now over the top of those two to make it more the quality of that leaf. Use the white here as well. And a little bit of white here. Okay, and I'd say I probably will stop fairly soon now. There's something to think about the yellow that was quite nice for injecting some into this stamen here. Okay. And will I carry on? I think I will carry on a little bit more with the background. That might be a step, and so with I was going to use some blue there instead of the white behind, but it's maybe a bit too much of a statement. I would need to see first. Like, I think what I want really is a almost white, but just a tiny bit grey. So this colour here in the chalk pastel looks to be what I'm after. Sorry, that colour. It's like slightly, it's a little bit more grey than white. I mean, it's not as dark as the shadows are, but I think it kind of works. I'll maybe just use it around here. I mean, really, that's very light there. So I don't know why I chose to do it there, but I think it's okay. I'm not sure if I like that or not. I think it's okay. I'd say I'll probably stop though. Like, there's something slightly fascinating about the cast shadow on the wall, but I don't really want to confuse things by drawing that in. I'll just lift that a little bit. Touch there. Yeah, here I'd say I'll just stop, sure. Or maybe you make that green. Don't know why I missed out that leaf. It's a good one to make green so that it sits back a wee bit. And the tip of that leaf comes out into the light. I find myself doing the David Hockney thing of already planning the next move as I'm drawing down this one. Right, sorry about the microphone being lost on the floor for half of this now. That's just the inside of that petal is quite yellowish there too. This might be what's called getting trigger happy now and starting to go in a whole new direction with it. So I'm going to stop. And more than stop, I'm going to try and lift off, or at least subdue what I just did there with some paper towel, because I feel like it brought in a texture into the the flowers that's more what's been used in the background and the leaves, and I don't want the flowers to read as being the same as the background and leaves in any way, because it's the contrast that I'm enjoying mostly there. So I'm just going to use the red line to re-establish the linear feel rather than the textural feel of that, because the texture isn't it's not what I want. That texture of oil pastel doesn't to me ring true for this drawing of the lilies. It's the smooth texture of the paper that was the thing that first brought me to this paper, I think, and of course the colour of it being so exactly what I was wanting for the lily. I hold this stick like this because the ink flows a bit more freely, so when I wanted to be to run a bit darker again. I hold it that way. I want to show you what I made earlier as well. This is one of my children's favourite breakfasts, plum cake. It's actually from Gordon Ramsay's wife's cookbook. I forget what her name is now, but good cookbook, whatever it is. Tanya Ramsay, I think is her name. Plum cake, because there was plums sitting in the fruit bowl for ages and they weren't being used. Right, so 36 minutes there now, fair play to you if you stuck with me. And that's what happened. That's the orange lilies. It was quite satisfying, just with working on orange paper. I think that orange colour is very good for us to be looking at that for a while. And actually maybe that's why this is one of the only cards that I'm still looking at there. Well, that and the handmade ones I got from people. That's my sister's card to me, and isn't it lovely? It's not orange, it's red, but with all the glitter and stuff, it kind of appeals to my bling side and gives my heart a little lift when I see it, and also knowing that it's from Maura as well. Thanks, Maura. Okay, so I'm going to stop carrying on now, try and set that up properly again. And just the final thing, they're the crochet things that my daughter made for me. And there's only a few left in there because I have been using them. It's sitting underneath Michael T. Higgins there. And actually, any of you who are interested in this whole, and the whole Artist's Way approach, very good book. How is it back the front? I don't know. Anyway, it's called The Artist's Way, written by Julia Cameron. And it's a fantastic book. Like I'd say, look, if I just even open it there now, right? To accept the responsibility of being a child of God is to accept the best that life has to offer you. She's not all about God, and when she says God, she talks about, like, you know, she's speaking more about a creative force that runs through all of us, or whatever it is that you call that. I don't know. Anyway, I just feel I had to explain myself there, opening it up and talking about God straight away. Okay. All right, so I'll see you soon, maybe tomorrow. That's my intention, to see you every day. Okay, thanks for tuning in again. Oh, twice I've spilled it. Right, I'm going to have to do a blue picture. See ya.